Hey everyone, if you're looking for the Valentine's Day hotspot this year in Winnipeg, make sure you head down to see our friends at the Park Theatre on February 14th for a special screening of the notoriously awful, independent, romantic horror thriller Birdemic, Shock and Terror. Doors for this one-of-a-kind show are at 6:30, show at 7:30, and tickets are only $5 in advance through the Park Theatre, Into the Music, formerly Music Trader, and online at Ticketfly. Costumes are optional but strongly encouraged, and there will be an introduction by the hilarious Tyler Penner.
You're listening to Garbage Hill, Winnipeg's first podcast network.
So welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I am once again at a Robin's Donuts. I seem to be unable to avoid this place. And
why would you want to avoid it, Sam?
Well, it's odd. It happened once, and it was like, oh, cool, Robin's Donuts works for doing interviews. And now it just keeps happening. Everyone wants to come here. So,
solid place.
You're
going to start making commissions off of it.
I should get them a sponsor. They're spending enough money every time I come here.
You are the first customer they've had in hours.
That's true. So they're probably happy, yeah. I think that's part of the reason I like it, because they don't kick you out. They're quite happy to buy a bagel.
You don't even have to buy anything, and they will not kick you out.
I feel bad, though. But anyway, we are here on the International Clash Day, apparently, to talk about, not about the Clash, but about the Clash tribute show that's happening this coming Saturday. And this Saturday from the day you're hearing this.
You got it.
And
you don't got to correct us. We're quick.
Right.
We figured it out.
Right. I think maybe the best way to just get started here is so people can put a name to the voice. If you guys want to introduce yourselves and I guess what your role is with the show.
For sure.
We'll go from there.
Ian, go ahead.
Yeah, my name's Ian Lodowicz. Let's go by Johannes. And started this show with Ben Rodiker, who's with us right here, 15 years ago?
Yeah. So we did it, I think, was it 6 or 7 times throughout the early 2000s.
Yeah, I think
it started 2003, the year after he died.
Yeah.
And then it was every year consecutively until around 2008, 2009. Does that sound right? There might have been. Was there one more in 2010? Was that the?
Yeah, Kids on Fire did one in 2011 as to raise money for Solidarity Rock out of Edmonton. But we've done it for 6 years, 5-6 years in a row before that. And like we were just talking about, like the International Clash Day, which is today, happens obviously all around the world, and must be Clash tributes everywhere.
Yeah.
And we figure they all must happen around that same time as February 7th, International Clash Day, because I know when Ben and I first heard the news of Strummer's passing, it was like, okay, well, what are we going to do? We're definitely going to do something. What are we going to do? But you need a couple months to kind of put it together, to book the venue. And so that's why I'm kind of thinking all these tributes around the world probably happen around February, late January, because everybody hits the ground running when they find out the news. But then you need some time to put it together. So I bet a lot of them.
He also, I think, died on the 22nd.
Yeah,
tough time to,
Yeah, absolutely.
So it just kind of, you just bump it forward a little bit.
I think Johnny Cash died like almost like a year and a day after Strummer or something. It was like the
I thought Johnny
23rd.
Cash was September 10th.
All right, well, let's nix that from the interview.
No, even better yet, correct, just insert the correct, who was right, and if you were wrong, just simply delete it.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So I can't believe it's been as long as it has been, like 15 years. It seems ridiculous, because I feel like I remember him dying, like,
I still have the Free Press article.
Yeah, it's not that long ago, right? But it is. It's crazy.
Well, I picked it up at a 7-Eleven on Sargent Avenue. I remember going in and like specifically buying the paper that day just to like find it, and you know what I mean. So I bought a couple copies and I stored them away.
Yeah, I remember hearing my dad's always been a huge Clash fan, and so we pulled out the records and started listening to them. Even listened to Cut the Crap.
Oh wow, that's dedication.
I have soft spots for Cut the Crap.
Yeah,
Three Card Trick is a good song.
This
is England. Yeah, This is England is a good song.
And then that song Dictator with like all these crazy
that's no good.
clips.
But there is you can find online, you can find a bootleg copy of the rough demos that they recorded for that record prior to it being like hijacked by Bernie Rhodes, who produced the whole thing and like rewrote everything. And it's just like a raw version, and it sounds more like a Strummer solo record.
Cool.
Oh, yeah. And it's really good.
Well,
I mean, it doesn't sound like a Clash record, but it still sounds like a...
But his fingertips are all over it, right?
It's a lot better than what you end up hearing on the finished product.
I think, obviously part of the reason it was so shocking when Joe Strummer died is because of his age. I mean, he was 50, right? And then the fact that he was still making pretty vital music, like with the Mescaleros and stuff.
He just started to.
Mescaleros.
He took like a decade off. Yeah.
Yeah, it's starting to be, like, he was doing good stuff, and then suddenly just out of nowhere. So I guess, like, I mean, obviously, like you said, you kind of just wanted to run out and do something as soon as you heard the news that he died, but what do you think it is about the Clash that makes that stuff so enduring? I mean, they're one of my favorite bands as well.
They're the only band that matters.
Yeah, right. Why though? Well, what do you think is the constant appeal, like generation after generation?
For me, the only reason it works with this particular band and this type of show, and the reason you can do it at the West End Cultural Center and you have such like a good community of people that come out, is because, you know, like I grew up in the punk community, but as equally as important as that band is to me and to all my friends, it is also to people from different musical backgrounds, and there's very few examples of bands like that. That's right? True. And like if you were to do to draw like a parallel, like if you were to do like a Sex Pistols tribute, for example, probably wouldn't have the same effect, probably wouldn't draw out the same type of crowd. Right. The reason it's such a kind of a warm crowd is because you're getting people from all musical backgrounds.
Absolutely, and Strummer like always like arose out of all those bands as being like, they were all like Sex Pistols, all those bands. That 77 style punk is very nihilist, very like, you know,
right.
Fuck everything. Sure, yeah. When then Strummer came along and was like trying to tie everybody together, talk about racial issues. Every song was a manifesto.
Yeah,
it's talked about greed and war, and these is kind of like a little bit the start of like the political punk.
Yeah, absolutely. As contrived as it probably was at the time, it didn't really matter, because I think that it still came off very genuine, and it probably was somewhat genuine, even though it was somewhat like their imagery and stuff was contrived. You know what I mean?
It's definitely put together, but I mean that's how you get that message across to wide audiences.
I agree.
You brand
for sure,
and there definitely was a Clash brand. But I definitely say it is still a very authentic one. And he came from, like the kind of hippie background, so kind of like, I think he was largely speaking to like those people too, the Summer of Love, people, and...
Oh, he's a big John Lennon fan too.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. So, what I was going to say is one of my favorite Strummer quotes, because as open-minded and as musically diverse as he was, he still had this knack for one-liners and saying the right thing at the right time. And I remember there was this interview with him on the Let's Rock Again DVD, I think it was. You can confirm that. And they're sitting on the side of a street, and someone asked him if he likes classical music.
Yeah.
And he says, "Nah, bloody long hairs." Just such a great...
Yeah, it's a good line.
Oh, he was the man of like the one-liners.
In the lyrics too, though, right?
I think that goes back to how he died at such a young age. He always had that "give him all you got and forget it" attitude. It's like, that was one of his classic quotes. It's, get up on stage, give it all you got and forget it, and don't like dwell on all the little parts. But he definitely gave her the whole way through, and so he would be. In Mescaleros later stuff, you'd be like sweating buckets by the second song.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't surprise me that he passed away early. Because it had a lot of drug history,
Yeah, well, he started just kind of getting back into the swing of things, right? Like after taking literally, I think it was at least a decade off. Like there's like a gap. He did the South Park soundtrack. He did one song.
No, he did an actual like Western soundtrack.
Oh, he did that, but that was, you're talking about Walker. Yeah, that was that was late 80s.
Yeah.
So late 80s, I think his first solo record, Earthquake Weather, came out in maybe the early 90s. You can correct me on that or edit it out if I'm wrong. But like 89, 90 maybe, and it was a flop at the time. And then it was literally like all of the 90s up until like 98, I guess, is when that Mescaleros record
Rock Hard, Next Ray Style, and then Tim Armstrong put that out, and it flopped too.
It did. I think it flopped, and I think they kind of all flopped, didn't they? Until he died.
Yeah, and Tim Armstrong said, "I would just keep on putting out his albums till the end." He said
he'll take a loss.
Yeah, what are you gonna do when Joe Strummer approaches you and wants to put out a record? You'll keep on taking a loss. I mean, he's going to make it up with Rancid money.
Yeah, exactly right.
He's got a lot of that,
I'm sure that they sell money now, right?
Oh, now,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, and to be fair, like they were like really weird records. Even as a Strummer fan, I bought Global Go-Go for my dad when it came out, and I listened to it beforehand because it was still when you go into CD stores and have the listening station and listen to it beforehand.
I remember that too. Yeah. I went to the one in St. Vital and listened to Global Go-Go on there, and I couldn't get over the pink cover. I was a kid, right?
Pink cover, yeah.
And I'm like, this isn't. Oh, sorry. Global Go-Go was the second one. Yeah, sorry. The Extra Style was the first one. I listened to that because the only thing I'd heard up until that point of his solo material recently was the South Park song.
Right.
It's a Rockin' World, which was a good song.
It's a good song, actually, yeah.
But nothing like what that first solo record sounded like. And I'm trying to like jive this whole like, what's with this pink artwork and like the music's not. There's not really even one punk song on this record.
Yeah.
Like I'm not really sure how to come to terms with it. But you know,
that one was very electronic sounding, and then Global Go-Go was like very like acoustic mandolins and like different types of drums, and that one was even weirder, I thought. And when I first listened to it, I really didn't like it, but whatever, my dad wanted it, so I got him it. And then years later, this is like Global Go-Go is one of my favorites. Just can't compete with that one.
Well, that kind of goes with what you're saying before about all the different styles too. I mean, it's not unreasonable to think he would be doing that, just suddenly doing something really electronic and then going something folk, and then you know, he did that anyway. Not those genres, but you know, experimenting with reggae and with rockabilly and with everything else. Like,
absolutely.
What's that song about food on that album?
Oh yeah,
and there's that one line. There's that one line: hummus, couscous in the juice of octopus.
This guy stopped saying he just came in from New Zealand. He's looking for mushy peas.
And then it's just all about food.
Yeah.
For the rest of the song, and it's just him rhyming food with food.
That's a great song.
That is.
In the middle of the song is like, I told him I was in a band. And
that was a true story.
What do you play? I was like, it's kind of like, and then there's some violin in the background. It's got a little bit of.
Yeah,
that's a great one.
Yeah, just little bits of it. I remember I saw an interview with him saying that was a true story. I think based on based on a conversation he had with a cab driver.
Oh yeah.
So like just insanity, but mashing together these weird.
Yeah.
You know, a song about food with like a conversation with a cab driver.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
So
it's a great record.
What was the reason for the kind of the break between doing this? I know there was one every year for a while, and then it's kind of been.
I don't know.
Everyone goes off and does their own thing.
Yeah.
I really didn't play music at all for the longest time, and then probably 5-6 years. Ian obviously has continued.
You're in enough bands.
In 17 bands tonight, I think, playing shows at various venues.
Yeah,
and then like Subcity was playing all of them. That was like we attributed like some of our our fan base to those shows.
Yeah.
We got a lot of people into the band just because we'd knock those shows out of the park and do like 15 Clash Mescaleros songs with the horn section and everything.
Yeah.
But then I think after a while the guys kind of felt like we were getting typecasted and we were playing those all the time.
This song's called Straight to Hell. can't see. It ain't Coca-Cola, it's rice. Go straight to hell. Go straight to hell. Go straight to hell, boys. Go straight to hell. Oh, Papa San, please take me home. Oh, Papa San, everybody, they wanna go home. So Mama San said. You wanna play Ryan, Chris, Banjo on the train right to USA. Well, in Parkland International, junkie to USA. We're broken and bruised, the purest rock around the road, and the right boys in the well of all town says. Go straight to hell. All right, one more time. You can ask for your help with Sub City. When I say rip it up, steer it up, I want y'all to scream back at me. Can't bring me down now. When I say rip it up, steer it up, I want y'all to scream back at us. Can't bring me down now. Let's try this. Here we go. I said, rip it up, steer it up. Yeah! Can't bring me down now. All right, one more time, a little bit louder for me. I said, rip it up, steer it up. Yeah! Oh, no way, bring us down. Not tonight, not ever. Can you cup it up loud and strong and sing? The immigrants, they wanna sing all night long. Well, it could be anywhere, most likely community frontier and hemisphere. In no man's land. There ain't no asylum here. King Solomon, he never lived round here. So go straight to hell. Yeah. Run to hell, boys. I said. Run to hell, boys.
I don't know why we stopped doing them. But after 6 or so years, it's like how many years can we do this? Like
That's what it felt like at the time, and then oddly enough, I mean, I just kind of started like testing the waters out, trying to figure out like if we could do it this year. This was probably around summertime, and then as this is happening, Ian sends me a text message, "Hey, you want to do a Clash show?" So it just kind of worked out.
Cool.
Well, I figure it's the 15th anniversary.
Yeah, it's
a good reason to just get the crew back together.
Yeah, and I just felt the timing was right.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody's kind of taking their time. I mean, like, it gets with like bands, it gets cliquey, and sometimes there's drama or whatever between bands, and then and now it just feels like everybody's at this good point in their lives where like, let's get the crew back together. So Ben got the Crackdown back together, all the guys, and then I was able to get guys from all the different bands I played Clash shows with over the years.
Cool.
and want to get the Farrell Brothers murder.
It's also been long enough that it'll feel interesting again,
For sure,
if that makes sense. Like, after you do it like 6 years in a row or whatever, it does kind of like, you start to wonder if that's even,
Right, people have seen it already enough times, they kind of...
Right, and you don't want to just do it for the sake of doing it, but like, we want to do it. So that's why we're doing it again. And I think that's what's important.
When did the Crackdown get back together? It wasn't just for this, right? Because you played another show recently.
Originally it was. Originally it was. So what happened was, we originally were doing it just for this, and then our guitar player Danny lives in Calgary now.
Right.
And he ended up coming in town for Christmas, and so we felt, well, he's in town for Christmas. Like, we literally haven't played together in probably, it's been a decade. So. Let's book a small show at the Cavern. Let's just, test the waters kind of thing. And so we did that. It went off well. We felt that it sounded good, and then we just started working on the Clash songs. And then he's coming in a couple days before the show to kind of catch up and everything. And I'm sure that won't be a problem for him. And we'll go from there. But we just kind of wanted to make sure that it was still fun and that it was still what we wanted to do. And instead of waiting to the last minute and just kind of flying them in a couple days before or whatever.
Right. Well,
we were able to have a warm up gig.
Yeah. So you don't know if it's going to become a thing further on, or are you just kind of doing it?
No,
show and then...
no, we haven't really decided yet.
Cool. Is the rest of the band everyone the same members who were in it before, or do you have any?
So we got Darwin was our original member. He's not in it anymore. He's actually in. He's somewhere in the States right now. Last time I talked to him, he was in Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
And he's just driving around in his car, drinking at bars and tenting and just finding himself. I think is the words he used.
Okay.
I can read you an explanation if you want.
No, it's all good.
But it was something along those lines. And then I guess our drummer is Steve, who drummed with us for the longest amount of time. So I would say he's the closest to an original member of the band. And then Dan, and then James Horde is playing bass. He was our second bass player after Darwin, and then of course Scott. So it's the last version before we broke up.
Right.
This is a version that.
Okay. This is the version that most people know.
Correct.
Yeah. Right, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Shackles and chains are left behind. Memories of yesterday. Better garments are mumbled in the streets. Leaving open air to cast away. To new city life, yet shine so bright. Leave the dead riding behind. Keep a front grip back, don't let go. The revolution's now, so take control. Grab a mic and shout it out loud. We're all ready to go. We're gonna take control. Whoa, this
as far as like the timing, it just like it felt right, and it's perfectly articulated by the fact that Ben thought of the idea, and I thought of the idea completely separately, and we came together like, oh, okay, it sounds like. And Ben's tried to convince me multiple times. I hate promoting shows, and I'm always the pessimist, thinking that it's gonna bomb, and Ben seems to keep on trying to convince me that people are ready for this. They're you know, they want something like this. I don't know what the words are.
Right time to do it.
It's the right time to do it.
I said, people are hungry for a show like this, because the reality is, there's just not a lot of other. Regardless of, there's not a lot of. The diversity at this show, you got the Farrell Brothers, right, who have their completely own crowd, and they're amazing,
sure,
right?
Sure.
Then you got
good Clash covers too.
Yeah, exactly right. But, just them on their own, they do a fantastic job.
Sure,
they could headline the night all by themselves and probably sell at the West End, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Then you got Ian doing, reviving his All Clash tribute band, which essentially, Sub City did that at least once, if not twice, before, and just, like you said, hit it out of the park. Crackdown, we have our own crowd, and then we've got the Murder Birds, which are members of the Stiff Bishops, who played before. They're kind of an all tribute cover class. I'm not sure if they have any originals. They might.
Okay. But their cover band mainly is...
Yeah. In the same vein as like the wind-ups and stuff like that. Okay. And they have their own kind of crowd locally and stuff like that. But everyone's kind of doing something a little different. I don't think there's a whole lot of, no one's stepping on anybody else's toes.
Yeah. No, we made sure that no Clash song is being repeated throughout the night. Okay. So everybody's doing... I think that spans, like, our band is doing 9 songs, and all the other bands are doing 5 each. So that's like 24, 25 Clash songs you're going to hear throughout the night. And they're going to be short sets, so you won't be bogged down with a bunch of original music.
Cool. Well, hopefully people want to hear the original music too.
Absolutely. And going back to like what Ben was saying with people being hungry for a show like this now, it's like Winnipeg's always had like killer talent, right? And they still do for punk bands, but like there's not really all ages venues.
There's not
anymore. There's not even the West End, and what young bands are gonna, fork out?
Can't afford it now.
Well, no one's booking the West End for like, First of all, there's like never punk shows at the West End anymore.
No,
but they want them there.
They do, but this isn't like entirely a punk show either, right? Like it is, but it isn't.
Right.
It's also, you can bring pretty much, you can bring your kids to it if you wanted to.
Right.
It's pretty laid back as far as that goes. So it's a little different, and I just think people will dig it, and they'll remember all the old ones that they had fun at, and they'll want to come out, and then you'll hopefully get some of the new crowd, whether we do or we don't,
But regardless of it being a tribute show, I think there is a void for all ages rock and roll shows in the city, especially on that type of scale and that type of stage. So I think
definitely,
I think there's going to be
even on a smaller level. Think about it. You never see community club shows anymore.
No, not like I used to be at home.
No, and even if you did, I'm not even sure you would get people there.
Yeah, it's very different. And I guess a lot of the people who went to the original ones, they're 18 or something then, or 16, they're in their mid-20s now. Like, then, people in their fans are...
First time I played the Clash, I was 16.
Yeah, exactly. Right? You're a perfect example of someone who kind of...
I remember that, actually,
right? That's crazy.
You guys were a young band, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Which band did you play with the first time?
The Barrymores.
Oh, Barrymores.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So the band you have now for this show...
From what video game were you guys on? You guys on like a...
It's an EA game, so that would be
a snowboarding game or something.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
That was Danny's song, so Danny saw the money from that.
That's cool, actually.
Yeah.
Sean White, is that the name of the...
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's that ginger guy, right? From the States? He was like the big, long...
there's a series of video games,
I
swear that's it.
Yeah.
We'll have to get Danny to correct me afterwards, because I know he knows the answer to that question.
He got that same song in like a Disney soundtrack.
Yeah, he got it on some sort of Disney thing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we had a good guy working for us getting our songs placement, and that's what bands got to do nowadays, because there's no money in album sales anymore, so got to diversify.
I'm distracted. There's a Ric Flair documentary airing in the background.
Wow.
Which no one can see, but that's okay.
So the group I'm putting together has 3 members from Sub City, 2 members from Kids on Fire. I got Daryl Kamak and I from Sub City. Got myself and Lee from Kids on Fire. We also played that show a couple times. We got Riley and myself playing the Noble Thieves together. Our drummer Joel plays with me in Lone Wolf. He also plays in a band called Clipwing, and he also plays in a band called SC Mira. And then
it's an incestuous world.
Riley and K-Mac also play in Bowlegged, which is Riley's alias. And so there's more bands covered in that group than there are people.
This might be to be fair though, and that was a very incestuous description that
the whole
laid out.
Music scene is incestuous.
But this is the first time I think that there's been a Clash tribute show where there hasn't been an overlap of members in each band.
Oh, yeah,
that's
very true.
cool.
If you think about it.
Because when we play the Crackdown, Darwin would be in both.
And then Danny too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, it's good, I guess.
It's
going to pull double duty.
No one's pulling double duty.
It'll be a high caliber night. It'll be really exciting to see some of these bands play on that big of a stage again. Because whenever you get to see punk rock bands play nowadays, it's in the corner in some club, and to see the Crackdown play on the West End stage is going to be very exciting.
Like 2006 or something again, right?
Yeah, that's the goal.
Relive the good old days.
Yeah.
The dark career opportunity, the one that never knocks. I hate the army and I hate the RAF. I don't wanna go fighting in the tropical heat. I hate the civil service rule, and I won't open platforms for you. Career opportunity, the one that never knocks. Every job they offer you to keep you off the dock. Career opportunity, the one that never knocks. Bus driver, having a plan. Taking it back to road. Don't understand. They're gonna have to introduce conscription. They're gonna have to take away my prescription. And they wanna get me making toys. And they wanna get me, well, I got no choice. Career opportunity, the one that never knocks. Every job they offer you to keep you off the jock. Career opportunity, the one that never knocks. Gotta raise, that they're never gonna knock.
I'm glad this is happening again, because I went to maybe the first 2 or 3 of these, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And I definitely didn't go to all of them, but I went to some of them. It was great. I mean, Farrell Brothers, I remember seeing them at one. I'm pretty sure I saw Sun City at least one of them. And they were fun shows, for sure.
I've only been to one West End show since they renovated, actually.
Yeah, I've been to a couple, but not very many.
It seems darker to me. Is it not? Is it just me, or is it darker in the venue portion of
Well,
the
they probably made it darker so that the lights have a better effect,
like
so that
you can't
photographers
see
get better
anything.
shots.
That might be
Maybe.
there might be a reason behind it, yeah. And that balcony thing, too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, the balcony's nice.
I love that,
Yeah. Is that where you're sitting? Are you coming?
If I'm coming, I'm sitting in the balcony, yeah.
If you're coming, look at this guy, huh? If you're coming, you're coming.
I got kids, my ability.
It's an all-ages show, Sam.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So, do you want to just remind people when the show is and what the details are, where you get tickets?
It's this coming Saturday, February 10th, at the West End Cultural Center. We've got tickets in the Music in Osborne Village. I got that new location in the village.
Yep.
Got them at the West End or on ticketfly.com.
So, yeah, that's the former Music Trader, just for the
former Music Trader,
for the listener.
Yeah, or if you know somebody in the bands, we might still have tickets by now. Ben keeps on trying to convince me that this show is going to sell out. Like I said, I'm always a pessimist.
Right.
That's why we work well together. He's the optimist.
Well, how successful were the other ones then? Like, did they?
They were always successful.
Yeah. Seemed like they were packed. The ones I went to anyway.
Yeah, well, what happens, and this is normal, is that people think about it for a while, and then the days prior to the show, we would always see, all of a sudden, places are selling out of tickets and they're calling us and asking us if we have more.
Sure, yeah.
And, that was in the days before online ticket sales with the West End and stuff like that. So I'm sure it'll be a little bit different. At the end of the day,
those are always funny situations where you try and ask people to buy tickets for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then the day of, once it's sold out, you get messages from everybody. I didn't get tickets.
Well, I'll tell you, I've probably got 15 to 20 people who have asked for holds, just hold the ticket for me.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
that's a popular one. Trust me. Well, I know you'll pay, but do I really want to keep track of all these tickets and who they're for?
You can open a spreadsheet for that.
Yeah. It's kind of like the...
People don't like to commit to anything until it's a week prior.
Exactly it. This is where we live now. I mean, like, you turn on Netflix and you've got 1,000 options. It's hard to commit to any one of those options, so you end up scrolling around forever and then going to bed. But if any of those movies, even if the ones you don't really care about were on TV, you're like, yeah, I'll watch this, even with the commercials.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with going to shows. People don't want to make a commitment or decide to go to something until the last minute.
This is why the people, if you set up a Facebook event, the people that mark themselves as going and the people who mark themselves as interested, you're going to get the same percentage of people that actually go between both crowds. Because it's literally just the going and the interested crowd are just people who just want updates and may or may not go. It's probably about 15 to 20%, somewhere around there, maybe a little higher, I don't know. But I would say it's probably, you're about as likely to get a good percentage of that interested.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's more than 15 and 20%.
Well, and then of course you have, all the regular crowd that doesn't use Facebook, Ian.
Right.
Are there people that don't use Facebook?
I think
there's a couple.
Your bass player.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly.
A few of them.
That's true.
So if someone's hearing this, a few days before the show, what's the best thing for them to do as far as tickets? Should they just go to the venue, or
grab them online? Go on Facebook, look up 15th anniversary Joe Strummer tributes.
I'll link to that in the info too.
Right on, yeah. Or they can go straight to ticketfly.com and grab tickets that way. You can go to
Visa, MasterCard, debit.
You go to Into the Music in the Village.
If
but
you only have cash,
that's physical tickets, and that might run out. So best to just go online because they're unlimited online until it sells out.
And assuming it doesn't sell out, there'll be some at the door, I imagine. But
there's usually, and there was always, a few at the door.
Yeah,
but don't count on the door.
Try to get them in advance for sure.
Yeah, you've been really lucky with. People have been interested in the show. UMFM is helping us out. Half Pints are helping us out.
West End's helping us out.
And everybody seems to be pretty excited to do something.
Yeah. So. Well, I guess a lot of those people probably helped with the previous ones too, right? I mean,
you got
West
it.
End, UMFM and everything. So.
Yeah, they used to. Yeah.
I can't think of honestly. Out of that whole group of shows, there wasn't a bad one in the bunch, right?
Oh no,
they all kind of went off without a hitch, and I think that was awesome. Everyone always had a great time. It was always a good crowd. There was never...
It's always a very diverse crowd. And, we were talking about this. We used to, because when we used to put on the shows, like I said, the first time I played the show, I was 16. So we were postering high schools, because those are our peers. And now we're thinking, okay, do we want to poster high schools? That sounds pretty creepy.
Yeah.
But also, those kids don't have shows to go to. They don't have venues they can regularly go see punk rock shows. Like what shows at the West End used to happen every weekend when we were young, right?
Sure. And the community center shows, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, I was considering postering high schools, and I was pretty for it. But I've driven by a lot of high schools, and the only posters that I see are for School of Rock. And that's it.
Yeah,
there's no other, which obviously...
Yeah, but maybe those kids are especially hungry now. They don't have anywhere to go to, When we were young punk rocks, we didn't.
I'm not disagreeing. Why don't we just head down to the School of Rock on Corden and hand them a poster?
That's a good idea. Yeah. Well, probably a lot of the high school kids love the Clash too, right? I mean, that's where most people pick up that stuff in the first place. Is high school, teenager.
I hope so. I hope they still do.
You hope so, but at the same time, you don't really know. I mean, I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll hit up a few high schools after all, and
there'll definitely be a large contingent of 25 to 45.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
age group.
Well, people who were at the previous ones, right? The fans of
and then I think there will be some people that will bring their kids, and they'll be awesome. Teenagers. But
you need that at shows.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, yeah.
Well, because those kids hopefully will go on to play the next one or whatever when they go from there.
Well, you're a great example of someone who's going to bring your kids to their first punk rock show.
Well, it might happen. We'll see. We'll see if I have a car that night.
Yeah.
I know.
That's okay. There's cabs. Uber will be around. That's hopefully
right.
By then.
Yeah. I honestly would I do hope I can make it to the show because I do have good memories of going to the previous ones.
Yeah, it was a good time.
I'm looking forward to it if I can get it there.
Well, we'd love to have you there, Sam.
Cool. And people should look forward to going to. So again, it's this coming Saturday at the West End. Buy tickets, go to the show.
Yeah, we got the Farrell Bros, Crackdown reunion. We got Murder Birds and Guns of Wolseley, which is all Clash set.
Cool. And do either of you have anything else coming up with other bands that you want to plug while you're here?
Lots of studio stuff. Recording.
I will have played last Friday at the Handsome Daughter for John Laszlo's. He's got like a video show screening for the Black Dogs.
Travel back.
Right.
In case you can travel back in time.
Right.
But you know,
You got
that'll be about 20 minutes of plugging.
Yeah.
No, not too much. Lots of recording these days. I'm playing with Noble Thieves and band North Graffiti, and we're doing recording, doing an album for North Graffiti, and Noble Thieves are playing Festival de Voyageur.
Cool.
That's it? There's got to be more than that.
I don't know. I'm giving you the
Who did you just play with at Big Fun? Because I just
Gold Mountain. I played with Gold Mountain, which we're just on Witchpolice
that's right,
2 weeks ago.
Great.
also certified plumber as of last week.
Right on.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Just gotta find a job.
This guy gets more done in 3 hours than I do in a week.
It sounds like it, yeah. Well, the good thing about...
I'm just good at gloating about it.
Well, going with the back in time thing, this will also air on UMFM, but UMFM is
nice.
quite a bit behind on when they air these, so by the time this comes out, it'll be like months after the show happens.
So we hope you came.
Yeah, hopefully you came, and then hopefully this happens again next year. Someone might be listening to this in like June or something.
Yeah, you know what?
Hey, I wonder if this is going to happen again next year.
If it goes off, I don't know. It'll be hard.
no reason
it'll
not
be
to.
hard to convince us not to, because it's a bunch of the old crew getting back together. I'm sure the crowd will love it. At the same time, you don't want to just like keep on cashing in on on flogging a dead horse. I don't know what the term is.
Yeah, you know what? We'll see how it goes.
But the West End is very excited to do like a rock and roll show again. I know for a little while they're becoming like more of a roots country venue, and now they're seeing the Park Theatres doing so well with the punk rock shows. They want to bring that back, and so much so they're already ready to book next year's. So it might happen. We'll see how this year's goes.
You may have to pay for the odd broken window, but at the end of the the end of the year, if you had a handful of good shows, then I remember our first Crackdown show was at the Bowman Center at the University of Winnipeg, and we ended up having to pay for a broken door. It was a glass door, and someone kicked it in. And so it was like, hey, here's your money for the night. Oh, wait.
We need all of this back. Yeah.
We need all this back, and now you owe us a few $100.
I remember community center shows like that where some stupid kid would trash the place, beer bottles everywhere.
Yeah, so if you're that kid, don't come out.
Don't do that. Yeah, please don't. Yeah, West End's a nice venue. But yeah, if you want to let's tune in on you.
I wasn't encouraging it for the record.
No, just in case anyone was confused with that. Yeah.
I did not like having to pay for a broken door.
If people want to hear more episodes of the show, if you're hearing for the first time because you're interested in what you guys are doing, you can go to witchpolice.com. There's all 270-some episodes are there for free download and streaming. You can also tune into UMFM at Sundays at midnight, which is like prime listening time for radio. And those are older episodes that kind of get a second wind. So, like I said, it might not air till June or something, but it's still interesting for people to hear if they missed it the first time. Maybe if it happens next year, they can get in on it early. So.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Or realize what they missed out on in the first.
He's in love with rock and roll, whoa. He's in love with getting stoned, whoa. He's in love with Jenny Jones, whoa. But he don't like his farm job now. He's in love with rock and roll, whoa. He's in love with getting stoned, whoa. He's in love with Jenny Jones, whoa. But he don't like his farm job now. And he knows what he has to do. He knows he's gonna have fun with you. And he knows when the evening comes, when his job is done, he'll be over in his car for you. He's in love with rock and roll, whoa. He's in love with getting stoned, whoa. He's in love with Jenny Jones, whoa. But he don't like his foreign job now. And the entry lots of work, but the boss at the firm always thinks he shirks. But it's just like everyone, he's got a Ford Cortina that just won't run